Yeah, so I started in STEM at a very young age. I was always interested in science, really loved learning, did a lot of science camps as a kid, space camps. And in my undergraduate degree in kinesiology, I was really interested in what was neurocontrol of movement all about? How is our brain controlling the movement of our body? In my PhD, during my graduate work, I was really honed in on the visual system. How are the neurons in our brains understanding the movement of objects in front of us? And I had the opportunity during my graduate work to focus on how those neurons changed with age. So really consider what is the implication of aging on some of our most fundamental neurological systems. That opened a door to allow me to kind of explore what are the other things that are happening with age, how might a variety of different research techniques be able to tell us more about age and the aging process, and how can we use all that information to support both community and industry groups that are developing new and innovative programs and services in this space. Over the years, I expanded a little bit beyond aging, and now I get to really oversee a portfolio of very diverse technology, aging, community, health, fitness, well-being projects that are all really geared at how is it that we're all interacting and engaging with the world around us and thinking about innovative new ways of doing that better that are also more impactful. For the next generation, I really want to say that a STEM background is a toolkit. You don't have to go into science necessarily, but the thinking that's related to a scientific process and the skills that you develop when you think scientifically about a problem, critical thinking, analytics, the ability to try to decipher what is valid, what is invalid, what is appropriate use of information. All of those skills are ones that will serve you well throughout your life, irrespective of where your career may or may not take you. They're helpful when you do your taxes, they're helpful when you read the news, right? That kind of a STEM toolkit is one that I think is invaluable for anyone at any stage in life. And it's even better if you go into the sciences, but you don't have to necessarily, and that kind of a background and that kind of thinking will empower and support you in whichever discipline you choose to use your talent. I will have to say I've been very fortunate in that the barriers that I faced, they were subtle. They were sort of relational. They were implicit biases. I didn't face a lot of hard and fast barriers, for which I'm very fortunate. I know others do face those. But the kind of biases that I faced were a little bit about recognition, acknowledgement of what I've accomplished and what I've become. You know, not being referred to as doctor when others, typically males in the room, were being referred to as doctor. While those are seemingly small things, when put all together, they can undermine some of the efforts that folks are making in building a career and recognition in this space. So I have done my part to try to advocate persistently, consistently, not overly loudly, but there all the time to sort of just acknowledge and make sure that, you know, if we're talking about people's expertise and recognition, let's recognize everyone that's in the room in the same consistent kind of a way. If we're talking about the expertise that folks are bringing to the table, let's acknowledge everyone's expertise and recognize that they're all contributing to whatever it is that's being discussed, and that everyone's got a really important viewpoint to share. So I've faced a lot of those implicit biases that people perhaps don't even recognize that they're bringing to the table. And I hope through this exhibit and through other efforts that we're all taking that we can begin to change some of that behavior and help a lot more women in STEM be recognized just as equally as everyone else, and get to a point where maybe we don't even need to acknowledge them separately from everyone else, because we'll have overcome a lot of that initial resistance and those barriers. You know what, it was actually kind of fun because I recognized some people and I got to see some old friends that I hadn't seen in a long time. And I will say that there was a default camaraderie, which was really nice to see. There were obviously some shared experiences, even though we didn't all know each other, and we may never all see each other again. There was a certain level of a shared understanding that we were all in this room for a reason, and that there was a purpose in telling our story. And I think that that's a really valuable thing to be able to leverage and harness. And I'm so honored and thrilled to be able to have been part of this exhibit. I'm glad to see all of these stories being told, and while I know I'm merely a very small part of the large tapestry of women in STEM, I'm really happy to contribute my part and be able to be even a footnote of this really monumental story and showcasing what women in STEM are able to accomplish and how we're able to support the world, the broader economy, and the development of the next generation. I brought my 6-year-old daughter here today, and she's the youngest person in the room by at least a decade. But I think that there's a really important lesson here in seeing people being successful in their chosen discipline. It doesn't matter what your chosen discipline is. It may not be STEM, and that's okay. But being able to see others who are taking their talent, their passion, their interest, their expertise, and are turning it into something really meaningful for their communities, I think there's power in that example, and that the younger you can start people in seeing that their impact has meaning. It goes somewhere. They have the power to shape stories, to change narratives, to influence the decisions of others. The earlier you can share that and help them see that in themselves, I think the better. So I was thrilled to be able to bring my own child here to help her see what I'm doing in STEM, what others are doing in STEM, and also just sort of be able to put that out there into the world that no matter where you are, no matter how old you are, there are lots of influences there around you. There's inspiration to be found as soon as you open your eyes. And women in STEM are a wonderful source of inspiration for anyone of the next generation.
Perfect. That was amazing.